Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ash from Watching Walford, and today we're going to discuss a topic that doesn't really get mentioned too much. One topic I saw floated on the Coronation Street subreddit, which just basically said, would people support Coronation Street to go on a break? Does it need a hiatus? Does it need to stop producing stuff, take a step back, and actually think about what they're putting out there? Because Coronation Street, I mean, it's been, what, 3 months now of this new year, and it has been very Kate Brooks. She has really tried to put a stamp on it. And that's not a bad thing, because all executive producers have the thing in mind that they want to do. But fundamentally, has it really improved the show from where it was? And I'm sure we'll get to that answer in a bit, but it still just poses more questions than answers. Because we are starting to see her true attempts. We're seeing more of the crime-based drama, more of the crime-based stuff. A lot of these subverting expectations. Very, you know, there's been... I'm pretty sure someone did a list of how many... big, like, stunts they'd had in the last couple of years, in the last few months. And I mean, hold on, let me just get this list. Okay, never mind, can't find the list, but it's a very large amount of like crimes and different ways, because we had, I mean, just name: car crash, stabbing, shooting, stair stunt, I mean, that's just, what, 4 or 5 immediately. And it has been very focused on the crime stuff. And I don't necessarily think it has to be a bad thing. I obviously had that soundbite saying, if we wanted to watch the bill would still be on TV instead of being axed more than, like, what, 10, 15 years ago at least. Like, it's just I don't know if it's the way forward, because... I love you, Coronation Street, but at such an advanced rate that a lot of this stuff has been going, you're starting to look like Hollyoaks. Now, I love Hollyoaks. It's a great soap. I love it. I adore it. I think it's in a pretty good place despite all of Channel 4's constant axing. You don't want the regular soap viewer to get invested in Hollyoaks, because they'll just watch fucking Hollyoaks. They will, because Hollyoaks has been quite good for a while, and it is actually not afraid to put its younger stars at the front and center, and it's not afraid to get rid of people they see as dead weight. Now, I think this era of Coronation Street, it is going to have a pretty high death toll. Because, you know, a lot of stuff been announced, like Debbie's death, like through dementia, Craig gonna die in the line of duty. Like, it feels like that Daisy and Daniel's baby, or Daisy and Kit's baby now. It feels like there's gonna be a lot of very sudden, like, deaths. And I don't necessarily know if that's the way forward. Because when you start killing characters off willy-nilly, it then means less because you're used to it. You are so much more used to it that it's no longer really that enjoyable. Where it's like, oh, they're dead. Oh, yeah, they're dead. Oh, Jesus. Oh, they're dead. Oh, you know, by the end, you just kind of start to lose grips. And when you start killing off characters and making them leave all of a sudden, it does generally start to degrade how people view it. And like I said, I made that joke of you don't want to become Hollyoaks, but, you know, you don't. It's Coronation Street. It's an institution. It's got cultural impact. And I think a reshuffle needs to happen in some form, because so many characters who probably shouldn't be getting storylines are getting big storylines. Like, I get that I get that Ken Roach is terrible with money or something. and he's gonna work till he's dead, apparently, because he's going bankrupt left, right, and center. But giving Cassie such a big storyline is criminal. It's criminal. Nobody likes the character. Obviously, you're not supposed to like the character, what she was doing. But she's getting these ridiculous... She's giving everybody shitty little nicknames. I never want to hear Ken be called Kenny or Steve McDonald be called Stevie Mac. Stevie Mac, ever again? Make it stop. Make it stop. Please. No more Kenny. No more Stevie Mac. Please. Please. It's like a Clockwork Orange with that eye just being dripped in. Please. And like, why is she getting the big storylines? Debbie, who is going to have her highest profile storyline yet, is having some nice, good stuff to work with. But it's only really there to serve the purpose of reminding us that Debbie's going to start dying and it's going to be really sad. Which I still think will be a really good storyline. I would still believe it will be, but also, like, you're missing out on so much potential. Like, I kind of said it at the time where Debbie is... She's a good character, but admittedly, she's been underused to the core. But in this recent era, she's been kind of re-established as a true gem, a true someone who's like holding back the floods. She really has been top tier. The humor works, the serious stuff works. So it's still a criminal shame that they are actually going to get rid of the character. And yeah, sure, it'll be a really big emotive storyline, but still, it's one of those things that you don't want it to happen. You don't want it to happen. And who else? Who else is getting some dodgy storyline? Also, like, Julie's been brought back. She's dying. It's like, great sound. More death. More death, are we? Oh, what's that? And then you have Mick and Lou, who obviously they've been introduced and they're not likable at all. And that's by choice. We've not really seen what they're supposed to do other than right now they're just being arseholes. Just because that's how you introduce new characters in soap in this current medium. Where Mick is this gross... He's like Tommy Harris. He's just gross. He's vulgar. He's crude. He's just a bad person. And Lou is just kind of off the rails and isn't gonna deal with any of your shit. And those introductions haven't really landed. I do look forward to seeing what Theo, James, and Carl. I do look forward to seeing those new characters, but still, it feels like it's gonna be more of the same. With gonna be more of the same with the angst, and you know, her and Abby are gonna have this affair, or him and Abby are gonna have this affair, and it's like, okay. And Abby's PTSD with Kevin's, like, testicular cancer. I'm glad that Kevin's getting to do something, but Abby is a character who's got that tragedy. Like, she's been given a tragedy stick and went, yeah, hold this. But whenever we tap it, you come call her. It's like, yeah, okay. And it's like, oh, is Abby gonna be good for now? Nah, not really. Nah. Oh, is Abby doing good? Nah, she's just there. Okay, it's too much. I like Abby. I don't think she's great. And Sally Webster? Is that not? That's Sally Webster. That's the bloody Sally Carmen. There we are. Sally Carmen's great. I think she plays the role really well. But. And I've talked around the issue as such. So, but those are just some of the immediate problems. I think the heavy crime focus is really butchering the show, personally. I would get rid of it if I was Coronation Street. I'd say, look, you know, Kit and Lisa, you are both detectives, but maybe we don't need all this inherent crime on the show. Like, maybe your crime stuff just goes on in the background. Because, like, despite only having 3 characters despite only having, like, 3 policemen, there's so much crime. And I've already made my stance pretty clear that I prefer the family drama. And I do think that's what Kate Brooks is kind of starting to do, is with the Debbie stuff, with the Baileys. She is trying to beef up the clans. She's trying to beef up the families to build off that drama. Because a lot of these families are quite low on the ground. In the grand scheme of things, like, a lot of them are quite dead on their feet as such. So adding these extra additions are gonna be quite important to keep it all, like, flowing and keep there being enough. And it's also it's a cursed monkey paw, right? Where it's like, okay, I want to be the Coronation Street executive producer. Okay, you can. At any cost. Okay, at any cost. At any cost, a lot of the actors have fed up and left because they didn't like where the stories were going. Okay, all right, sure. I guess I can work with it. You know, I guess I can do that. And I don't think that 2025 is going to be a particularly good year for Coronation Street. I'm not saying it's a write-off already, but the first 3 months have been quite underwhelming in the grand scheme of things. Like, a lot of stuff has happened, but that doesn't separate it from just being underwhelming and not very interesting. Like, yes, a lot of crime has happened. They've been really trying to act like serious stuff is going to happen. Like, is David gonna die? No. Also, can we politely put a bow on this Harvey stuff now? Can we not have Harvey dicking around anymore, please? That's sickening as well. I'm fed up of that. But yeah, it's one of those awkward things where a lot of stuff has happened, and to some people they'd be like, whoa, a lot of stuff's happened, but, like, is it all good? No, not really. Not particularly. Has there been some good signs? Yeah, for sure. Like, they're definitely finding their footing as a new producer, but just because a lot of stuff happens doesn't mean it actually has a lot of impact. I could say 20 words about how I want you to take the bins out, and I can say 1. But at the same day, but this is a stupid analogy. That's a stupid analogy. But point being, just because a lot of things have happened doesn't mean it's all good. Like, and I suppose to finally get to the point of this video, does Coronation Street need a break? Not really. In soaps, it's not really the medium to give breaks. Neighbours gets a break, but then again, they're getting a permanent break. It's like, you know, it's the issue with having a soap go year-round is there's not really as much time for breaks. And, you know, these actors are working year-round, and the producers and writers, they're all working year-round. It's a really hard medium to catch a break, and it's why typically when there's a couple of bad years, there's a lot of bad years. Because, you know, just one year goes by, it's not been great. 2 years goes by, it's not great. We'll do a new producer. Okay, the new producer's got to bed in. Well, it's going to take like a year for them to get to their main good stuff. Like, even Chris Clenshaw, the now former EastEnders executive producer, 2022 was fucking shit. But 2023 was probably the best year of EastEnders in a long time. And 2024 was good, and 2025 so far has been... It has been made by the 40th anniversary of EastEnders, but still, you know, the rest of it's not been that great. And it does take a lot of time to bed in, so I do think we need to give it more time. But also, in the short term, you are probably going to alienate a lot of viewers because maybe their direction isn't what they want the show to be. Because some people do want the show to be talk about the price of bread, which is always the one. Here's Rita and Norris. They're going to a costume shop. Norris has been given a big fluffy wig. Isn't that funny? That never happened, of course. But still, it's kind of a Different people want different things. And we did do a video talking to the effect of soaps haven't been good in 20 years type deal. And we did get a lot of really interesting comments. I feel like everybody who watched that and commented, you did a really good job. So like we're pretty proud of you guys because you were all very measured. It wasn't like the subreddit at all where it's like, no, it's been shit for years. It was just like, no. Like, yeah, sure, it has, but the medium has had to change. And I don't think Coronation Street is necessarily eyeing up the big return this year. It feels like the big return is next year, 2025, with a soap power hour and less time and less episodes a week and just generally a different schedule. And it's trying to create a real buzz around the show, trying to give it a big push again to make sure that, you know, Coronation Street and Emmerdale don't get lost in the shuffle. So yes, there will be a bad times before there are good, but Kate Brooks she did do some good stuff with Emmerdale. Not that I watch Emmerdale, but from my vague recollection, she did do a fairly good job. I could be wrong. Any Emmerdale fans, hit me up. And there is going to be an influx and an outpour of new characters and older characters leaving. And it's going to be interesting to see what the show looks like in a year's time, because a lot of people are being shuffled away. Like, I did, like 10 news videos about characters leaving and characters joining. Like, there were so many different bits of news. Like, what are the Grimshaws going to look like in a year's time? You know, Jason's coming back. Eileen's gone. Julie's probably dead. Is George going to stick around? He signed a contract to 2026. Is Todd going to stick around? You know, and then what of the Grimshaws then? Dead on their feet. Daisy's going to be gone. Daisy's been a huge part of this last era of Coronation Street. She's, you know, ascended to being a leading lady. She has carried the biggest storylines and won the awards and been given the true belief. How the Platt's gonna stick about. Max was an important character. You know, Lauren, Dee Dee, some of the lesser characters going to be able to step up. Are they going to introduce new ones? Like, we don't know. We simply don't know, and we can't tell. Now, obviously, the one thing that Coronation Street needs to do, Coronation Street needs to get that balance back. They need to stop having everything being so bloody depressing. Because it is depressing. And there's been very little of Coronation Street this year that's left you with a good feeling. It's pretty much all been bleak. It's been really, really sad to see, because it's like, oh, was that a good week? No, not really. A lot of tragic shit happened. Oh, great. Sound. Love that. You're like, you need to change your approach. Tragedy and trauma doesn't sell a soap. You need the good moments to make the tragedy and the trauma feel that much darker, that much better, that much more gripping. You need to get characters to be cared about, to give a solitary fuck if they're struggling. Because yes, Abby may be struggling, but Abby struggles about 6 days out of the 7 days of a week. You know, love Abby. Don't need to see Seb again. He's in the past. Don't need to see all the trauma and the PTSD. Still an interesting depiction. Still don't need to see it anymore. You know, Abby's grieved enough for a lifetime, in a very, I say short time, in a decent stretch of time on the soap at this point. Like, we don't need to see how dark and depressing things are, especially in the current climate. So if you just address, you need to have the sweeter, kinder, funnier moments. You can't just rely on David to be like, bloody hell, mum, hey. You can rely on Debbie to hit a one-liner, but you need depth for people to care. And Right now, it feels like it's lacking that depth. It's awfully shallow. It's shallow and traumatic, and that doesn't leave a happy audience. That just leaves the audience going, bloody hell, maybe I should watch something else at this point. So once again, just to fully wrap it through, this has been a decent 20-minute video. Does Coronation Street need a break? No. Do we need to give it a break? Probably. It was always going to be a rough transitional period with Kate Brooks having to take on more than what she was probably told, having a lot of characters having to leave and a lot of characters having to be brought in. It really is her trying to put a new stamp on the show, and maybe her general stance of saying we need to shake things up and we need to build suspense and we need to make sure that everything is shocking and nobody gets content or complacent. You know, maybe that's just a simple band-aid solution to a bigger problem that is the previous era of the show alienating so much cast, with ITV's money problems up to the forefront. Maybe she is simply doing the best she can with a dodgy hand. And maybe we do need to give her more credit because, you know, she has boldly taken new steps in different storylines and different ideas. But it just doesn't help that it's all compounding into one very, very unsatisfying sandwich that you get bored quicker than you get full. Oh, God. Just another bite, and there's like so much left of the sandwich, and it's like, maybe I just don't like sandwiches anymore. Maybe that's the problem. But hey, look, it's a tall order, but we will be here no matter what, as fundamentally we all do love Coronation Street. Some would say it's the nation's favourite soap. Been here longer than most of us have ever been alive, and fundamentally it will probably be here long after most of us are gone. Corrie is inevitable. Corrie is classic. Is it in its current form? No. Does it need a break? No. But does it need a bit more time to finally find its footing, get rid of all of the excess swapping executive producer stuff out the way, where you're bringing new characters in and you're making other characters leave? Once all the dust settles, I do think Kate Brooks probably has a better angle for where she wants the show to go. It's just right now she's currently in the weeds, trying to see the light through the darkness. So time will tell how she'll do. But there we are. Have you been enjoying Coronation Street this year? Do you agree with me? Has it been a bit too depressing? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'm feeling better now. My hearing's fixed, so good stuff. Back to normal, regularly scheduled programming. Thanks for watching the video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.